Listen to Career Paths by Implement every Thursday.
You might learn something.
You might not.
Available on Apple Podcasts,
On Spreaker,
Spotify,
on Google,
and iHeartRadio. It's your life. Make it happen.
Off of one shot, you can zoom in. Like if I was talking or Paul's talking and edit and have blah, 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 or whatever. So we don't need to have two per se. We still got to do the fall over thing. Somehow, some way. I'm going to talk to.
Yeah.
What can we have? I'll figure out something just to fall over in general. We had the different things that we want to do, goofy shit.
Yeah.
Part of the show. One was in the middle of every interview, the camera would fall over accidentally. The camera.
That's
or
funny.
do something.
Accidentally.
Right.
Or
could be based on a word you say or something, you know.
Wow, we weren't that good.
It'd be funny. Like a code word and all of a sudden the camera,
But we were sticking little
different
things there, so when it fell over, there would be something sitting
Either
there.
a card or a bobblehead or
That's cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
Kind of gave them something to look forward to.
That's
See
cool.
what
going to happen next.
ends up in the camera.
That nobody else does. That's great.
So we got to figure out how to incorporate it. I have all the notes and stuff that we had before, so before Enoch gets done, I need to maybe go over it with him before we're done.
Yeah.
So, alrighty, let's fly this puppy. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Sounds great.
Are you
Go
on?
for it. I'm on.
And go. Hey, welcome to Career Paths by Infonet. I'm your host, Victor Boudreau. Today, our guest is, who are you, sir?
I'm Paul Taylor.
Paul Taylor. Paul, you look familiar. Have we met before
We
today?
we have not.
Okay. Never, ever, ever.
We sort of have.
Yeah, a few times. Paul, what do you do for a living? What's your career?
I am a vendor contractor for commercial apartment buildings.
Vendor contractor. Wow. I've never heard that. Actually, I know what you do, but vendor contractor for... So clarify, what is that exactly?
So you've got many contractors in the market that do different things, and specifically what we do is apartment complexes have their own set of vendors that you wouldn't use for your house, for example.
Vendor / contractor.
Yep, they just supply to multifamily apartment buildings because that's its own specific market that needs its own specific care and feeding.
Right.
And so I worked for one for a while and saw that there was a need for more supply in the industry of that type of contracting, and so that's what I do specifically for them.
So, since I know what you do, you didn't actually explain what you do. You actually go into apartments, you're contracted.
Yep.
After somebody moves out.
Exactly.
And you are in charge of replacing
flooring. Specifically, the way we look at it is if you own the apartment complex and someone has moved out, you at that moment you technically have nothing, meaning you have nothing you can rent because that resource has been expended.
Yeah.
And so our job for that owner is to go in and monetize that and give you something.
Right.
Now, so that when we leave, hopefully after maybe your people have painted it, after they've fixed broken door handles, whatever it needs.
Right.
When we do our part, we then hand you back that resource that you can then rent.
Right.
So more than like being a contractor and being like a worker in that sense, I view it as they've got nothing as of the moment, and after a day or two, they've got something.
Right. But you're going in fixing what's been the renter has.
That's right. And just flooring.
Used, abused, or just do the flooring.
Because that's my background.
Carpet and
whatever hard surface they have. It'd be like vinyl or LVP.
Okay.
Yep.
So when you do this, you have a supplier for your
I do.
products and parts and whatever you need for. And do you have it lined up? Because all apartments let's say apartment on South Hill here in Spokane.
Sure.
They use particular items, particular carpet, or do they change up ever?
Well, both. You're right. What can happen a lot of times is because the rental market is what it is, and it's got a cap on what they can get. Sorry.
He's sitting in the mic too. So.
at that point, obviously, they have to make it cost effective for them to get a material in there that shows well, that's warm, that people respond to, that will rent, but also isn't too expensive. It has to hit all those marks, of course.
Yeah, so you're getting way okay, good, awesome.
You know,
yeah.
So
there's a lot to this.
Yeah. So sometimes they do switch, and sometimes they get sick of brown or they get sick of gray, and they want to switch. Maybe they want to switch from carpet, like a lot of people have seen in rentals. They'll go to all hard surface, wall to wall.
Oh.
But then they want the residents to do their own area rugs,
Right.
Because it's lower turnover for the owner.
Wear and tear.
But then that can make it louder, and so there's all those choices too. Do we want it to be that way and be colder, but also less maintenance, and people will get, you know, all those choices are made by the owner as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So hey, let's back up, Paul. We jumped to, and because I asked you a question and you got technical, and I know what you do. Fortunately, I had to dumb it down for everybody. For Ryan, Ryan's not very smart, so I got to jump.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's back up. Give us a little background on yourself. Age, rank, serial number. You don't have to be exact, but you're how oldish?
I'm 51.
Married, children?
No.
You've never been married, have you, Paul?
Nope.
No kids at all that you know of?
None that I know of. No, I haven't gotten any letters.
You think by now you
Out of
know
the blue.
just like I do?
No.
Anything else we should know about you that might pertain or help anybody else that might be looking to do what you do?
Basically, if you're in the construction market, I was at some college, like a lot of people, and kind of whatever trade you find finds you. You know, whether it's roofing or drywall or flooring or whatever a guy does, he might be an excellent diesel mechanic. But there's great money in that if you're good at those trades. You know, I know welders that do terrific. So a lot of times it kind of finds you. Maybe you're just, not that you're not smart, it's not that you can't do college, it's just that you like to...
Some people aren't, college isn't a...
Yeah, you know, it's too bad.
There's other ways to go.
Right. It's too bad that the world has moved away from trades the way it has, because
yes.
Trades were what built the country. And there's a famous quote that said...
How famous is it?
It said, I don't know, it says, all the PhDs in the room still couldn't get the lights back on. And that's so true.
I never could go to... I'm not a college-educated guy.
Yeah, me either, because I never finished. And so it found me.
How long did you go to college?
When
you did
2.5, 3 years.
Where'd you go to school at?
I went to Spokane Falls and I went to Whitworth.
Okay.
Yeah, isn't it funny?
Well, we've had other guests on that started it and realized that wasn't the way they needed to do what they needed to do.
I still went to college. I don't regret it. The thing that's fun to talk about, just to make, just to be off the cuff about this.
Oh, please.
Even though I didn't graduate, and even though it cost me a lot of money, and I didn't get a degree, and I didn't use what in terms of like getting a degree that you go get a job with,
right?
I wouldn't trade my time at SFCC or Whitworth.
Why?
For anything.
Why?
Because of the people I met and the experience I still gained.
Right.
I still went to college. Yeah.
Oh, show off.
What were you taking?
I was taking just my focus was international business. So I took a lot of economics classes, and you had to have a language if you were in international. You could pick any language you wanted.
Do you speak another language?
I do not. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my language is dumbing it down, which helps me a lot.
I'm there.
But my language was Japanese. And that's weird. And the only reason it was Japanese is because I thought it was a cool language because I had like a Sony TV and a Honda motorcycle.
Honda, Sony,
you know what I mean? And all these guys made really good
Mitsubishi.
stuff. Yeah. And I thought the language was, and it was so foreign, like all of us, you know, try to read Japanese today. It was great. So I took Japanese.
So you learned a little bit, but you haven't used it and you forgot it?
I learned very little of it.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I probably learned a lot, but I didn't retain any of it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you remember any word?
Not really, no.
Okay, I thought you might
there's
swear at
three
me.
styles of writing. I could write it better than I could speak it. Yeah.
Well, I can't read or write anyway, so. Why did you want to get in this career of what you're doing now? Because I know you've had other jobs or careers, because I remember initially you were like a mediator.
Yeah, many other jobs.
Yeah, well, and I asked that. I'll get to it.
Sure. Why did I want this? The answer would be
and
as I didn't. I had struggled with employment. I had struggled with what job to have.
Do.
Yeah. Probably like a, you know, probably like a actor on the street. You know, you wait tables at night and then you go to auditions and then you take a job you didn't really like. You're right. You know, same kind of a thing. It's kind of what we all do. And I had been recommended for the job I had before, working for another vendor supplier, and they're a regional company, and then I learned some good things from them and I learned some bad things, and so I didn't want this job, but I saw employment there. I saw demand if I cleaned up their system. And that's not to throw them under the bus. I mean, anybody could say that.
You can learn and you can see things that could be fixed in any situation.
They're 20 times bigger than our company, and they're still a big operating company. It was just that I saw stuff that I kind of wanted to control my own destiny. Like anybody who might run a hair salon, for example, and they say, you know, I just don't like the way we do this. That's fine.
Right.
Yeah, that was all.
So, how long ago was that?
2014.
And what were
6 years ago?
Where were you at that time?
In Tri-Cities. Yep.
Oh, that sucked.
Yeah. No.
So, did you have to go looking for information to get more into this? But you already kind of had your knowledge of what was going on. So, where'd you go from there to get more information, to educate yourself to do what you need to do to succeed, or at least move forward and try to?
That's a good question. Yeah.
I don't know if you succeeded, but
it's a long, strung out question that has a lot of points to it. That's great.
It's all good.
Where did I get more information was what helped me originally, that I saw was a huge advantage that I didn't have in the old job, was that I came from, in this particular industry, I came from an installation background. So what I was selling a lot of times, or what I was bringing to these companies, these apartment complexes, was materials and labor to monetize their units. But the guys that
instead of just, I like how you monetize. These are all big professional words. To me, it's like you got to fix up the apartment so they can get it back out. But we're monetizing. Yeah,
and I do that totally by design, because it isn't. If you look at it just from the standpoint of just contracting, you're just doing vinyl and carpet, for example. Well, then there's lots of companies that can do that and probably do it well.
So you're actually part of your selling technique to actually put it at a certain level. And are you educating the apartment owners along, or managers along?
No, honestly, no. What they needed, we'll go off on a tangent for a minute.
Please.
What they needed more than me, like another sales rep, this is kind of a personal thing for me.
Sure.
Educating them, was they needed someone who would just take the headache off their desk.
Right. Well, a lot of people need that, and a lot of people.
Yeah, and a lot of these reps in any industry, again, in any vendorship. I don't know if that's a word, but people know what I mean.
Yeah.
Any segment of being a vendor, they want to, for lack of a better word, they want to schmooze them, or they want to try to get a bunch of their time, or they have an angle on where they want to approach them and get something from them. And I didn't think the management of whatever the on-site place was needed that. They had too much of that. In fact, they'd been oversold by guys coming in, the same guy.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And really what they needed was somebody who could just do it, that could be reliable, that didn't overpromise, that could do it for the correct cost, and then just simply repeat that process but not be seen, and so that they could focus on other things. And that's one of the ways that I saw these bigger companies were too cumbersome and they were failing at.
Mm-hmm. Going in and selling and not always producing.
Yeah, just leave them alone and just send them a bill and tell them the unit's done, and they go great, because then they can do their part to
take care
rent
of whatever else
Yeah.
is on their plate, which is usually a lot of stuff.
Oh man. Yeah.
So when you decided you were you installing at this point when you decided to go on your own?
I was installing. I installed since 1996, so I installed for
forever.
Yeah, for 17 years for different companies, and I knew what it took to do the work, and better for the new job, I knew the cost.
Right.
And that was critical.
Because you were doing this for another company.
I did, other companies.
So you already knew cost of product that might be needed, or at least Yeah. So you could go, when you went on your own, you knew what you knew where you were at. Did you do any extra schooling or training from that point to go on your own? Business management training?
No. No. I probably should have.
How scary was that?
It made you uncomfortable. It wasn't even so much a fear thing. Your paper airplane career is over.
I got new cards.
But it wasn't even so much fear or scary. It made you uncomfortable, because you knew that to walk, for any of us that whatever job you're in, to walk through the next level, whether it's to go on your own or whether it's to move up to the next level of that job, you either need additional education, or you need additional experience, or you need mentorship, or you need
Mhm.
motivation
Yeah.
to do that. A lot of times I use the analogy of somebody who has one hand on the boat and one foot on the boat and one foot on the dock, and you do have to choose, or you will end up in the drink. It's just how life is. You
Right.
can't have both. And so
You
with
can't?
that,
Are you
you know what I
sure?
mean? So with that risk can come reward or failure. And so that was the hard part.
So when did you actually officially start? What year did you start?
2015.
And it's 2020, almost
Yeah,
2021.
it was late 2015, I think.
And
yeah.
you're still surviving?
I still survive. Yeah, it's growth is always tricky, and you have ups and downs in
Sure.
any market.
Yeah, that's
But,
basic. That's business.
Just like any small company, you build a small customer base you keep happy and you take good care of them, and we really focus on that because they're the ones that you're based on. Yeah.
So you're out of the Tri-Cities. Where else you go to Wenatchee?
Yeah, we're regional.
So
Correct.
where else off the top of your head are you going right
We
now?
we
What
go
other town?
everywhere from Wenatchee to Pullman would be the furthest east that we currently go, and then we go as far west as we have a couple properties that are Newcastle, Puyallup.
Wow.
Yeah, rarely.
Right.
Because you have to it's that scale of economy of labor of driving and travel and how much you can do
Sure.
and
Yep.
being honest with yourself about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we do.
That's great. How many
Yeah,
how many workers do you have workers that subcontract? Or,
we do. Currently, we have 8.
Okay.
Yeah, it's small.
Yeah, that's fine. You don't.
9.
I know another business out of Coeur d'Alene actually that is a landscape sprinkler,
Okay.
and they thought the more guys they had on doing more stuff, the actual owner would make more money. That
That would be
wasn't-
great.
Wasn't the case.
Yeah, if you have demand, maybe that's the case.
You
But,
kind of had demand, but when you don't get things done and things aren't as efficient as they could be.
labor's a killer.
Yes, we don't need that question. We don't need that question.
Is that good or bad if you skip questions?
It's
Does that mean
going
you'd
to school.
You're going to the 300 level?
Yeah, and you're
Good.
just talking about going from school to and any problems getting to school. Since you didn't go to school for this per se, it's been ongoing. It's been a life process for you, correct?
Everything is.
Right.
Sure.
What's a typical day consist of? Like tasks, hours worked, travel for you, obviously.
Yes, for any contracting company, one of the hardest things is operations, and it can eat your day alive in terms of time. It's really hard because you'd like to grow your business, you'd like to see your customers more, you'd like to plan and tend to steer that ship a little more. But inevitably, what needs to happen today, like building any house, is what you need to focus on. Otherwise, it doesn't go well. So operations is hard. Because you hope to spend half your day in ops and half in sales growth. That never happens. Yeah,
Right.
It's 85% ops if you do a good job. Either way, just because you have to. Yeah.
It has, since you've started this as because you are efficient and you do what you promise, or you take care of your customers.
Right.
The word of mouth, has that helped build?
It does
your
completely.
business?
We have no advertising whatsoever. We don't. Yeah, we couldn't anyway because we don't have the labor to support it.
Right.
One of my other is it a mantra or goals is that you don't sell to somebody if you can't then deliver. The worst thing that can happen for a small company is if they say, sure, Monday I've got 6 units, come on over, and you go, oh, that's great, thanks for the yes, but now you're scrambling. If you're scrambling, that means you really can't provide. Every business has to scramble a little bit,
Right.
but you shouldn't give up that quality and that loyalty to them to make that date. And I've seen companies fall over on themselves to do that. So I'm very careful about growth or about selling, because you have to be able to back it up if you do. Another tangent about that, if you don't mind,
Please.
is
Paul, you should listen to the show once in a while. We sometimes we'll end up over
going
here.
in any direction.
I can get us back to where we go, but
Okay.
no, this is everything we do is helping educate. Hopefully, anybody that's listening to this, younger people, and that's thing
nice.
to do with my philosophy in life. Since I don't have my own kids, and I want to give a nugget of information to hopefully help somebody younger
Okay.
in their life.
Sure.
I don't know, always succeed at that. Usually, they're just pointing and laughing at the old guy.
Yeah, that's great.
So anything that it's all good. Just share because you do this.
Yeah.
And if somebody is interested, or is, hey, that might be something I could do.
Well,
You're going to give them some. You can't give them everything, but you're going to give them some information.
Yeah,
educate
it's good to hear somebody else's story. It is.
Exactly.
I appreciate that when people tell it. One of the hard things we talked about not selling what you can't deliver.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like you go to XYZ sandwich shop. We won't use any national names, but you go in there and they want to sell you what you want to buy, and you've got money in your hand, but they don't have the staff behind the counter to do it. So you end up waiting 20 minutes because they're getting online orders and they're getting drive-through orders, and there's 3 people ahead of you, and they're making sandwiches for people that aren't even standing there, and you realize that they've sold you, but they can't really deliver on that.
Wow,
and I have a thing against that. I really do. I think if you're going to sell and you're going to have the pipeline built, then you either really can do it or you really can't. And sometimes customers are sold short in every segment. And one of the things about that was, for example, if we do a job in, let's say in Pullman, we were just talking about Pullman, and it's a 2-hour drive, for example, and then there's a problem, you can't then say to that customer, yeah, we'll send a guy back, probably we'll see 2-3 weeks, we'll have somebody back there. Well, the way I look at it, in fairness, is you had a customer in Pullman, you took their money, you did the job for them, now there's a problem. So just like if that house was next door, you should be able to service that account just the same. And so many times you'll see me being the regional manager guy driving to that place. Do I want to? No. Is it convenient? Heck no. But I'm glad to do it, because to them it shouldn't matter that they're in Wenatchee.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
They just need the service.
They don't care. They just want it done. And I mean, 2-3 weeks, they've lost how much money?
Right.
Because they can't.
And it's not off their plate.
Yeah. Geez, Louise. What about your career that you dislike at this point? That you've been doing it for years. You're your own business owner now.
Right.
What do you dislike? I used to say hate, but we want to say hate. What do you dislike, and what's like dislike about it, and what do you enjoy about it?
Okay, what I dislike about it that's easy to say off the bat is you do get burnt out of being tied to your phone. And every small business person knows what I'm talking about. You don't really, even if you go on vacation, you're not on vacation. Some people can really unplug, but most small business owners can't. You don't really have a weekend. And I'm not saying, well, it was me. Nobody has a gun to your head and says you have to have a small business.
Other people think, oh my goodness.
Right. We know there's benefits that come with controlling your own destiny, and that's great.
Your density.
Yeah, but it's nice if you can. It's nice if you can truly unplug from the work, and many times you can't. So that's what I don't like about it.
Being the owner and runner, you schedule, you got to do this, you get parts, pieces, this, that, talking this, and I could.
Yep.
Wow.
My job is to support the guys and keep them going is my goal, so that they don't have any glitches. And when they do, inevitably, it's just the nature of what we do, that I minimize them so they get past them quickly.
Do you find that any problems that you typically run into these days you've already ran into, so you kind of have an idea of what to do with?
It's nice, it's like anybody would. That's true.
It's like, yes, inconvenient, it's kind of a pain, but it's not like, oh my God, what are we going to do?
It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, it's not a stress. So, a new question I've added to some of our questions like that. What or how would you change the phone thing to make it better for you or anybody that's in that situation? But could you?
I think some people in a small business, and I've thought about this a lot, they try to, it's kind of like talking about stress. When they say, how do you avoid it? And many people would argue, you don't. You cope with it. You deal with it.
Right.
Everybody, even people who have the most calm, peaceful life, are going to have some level of stress. An unexpected bill, or a health scare, or family drama.
Happens.
Yeah. So you have to, as a small business person, again, in whatever segment you're in, you have to just cope with it and deal with it and try to be mature and not try to run your business as best you can and not let it run you.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you
try?
Yeah, but once again, with years of experience, it's not like you're running into something that you have no clue about, right?
Right.
Typically, at least anything that may be a little bit semi-new, you've already had a lesson or dealt with something in your past, either to do job situation, installation situation, product situation.
Now we're even. Yeah.
Shut up, Ryan. I hate you. You're mean and hurtful. Just wait.
I have been so many situations you couldn't even imagine.
You spitulate yourself.
Yeah.
Time in the office or time out in the field, it's kind of the same for you, isn't it?
It is. I'm in the office, so to speak, no matter where I'm at. You know, I compare a lot of what I do to running a restaurant, because if you're running the restaurant, you're, like you said, your problem isn't typically with keeping the food stocked in the kitchen.
Right.
It's typically not with how the steak is cooked. They know how to do that. They know how to make the food. They know how to plate it. They know how to get it to the table. They know how to
Hopefully
do all
by
that.
now, if they've been, yeah.
But just like us, just like restaurants, the part of the issue is that customer might be tricky. They might throw a curveball at you. Something
Give
else.
me an example of a curveball that you've experienced.
They just might change schedule in an unplanned way.
That happens.
They might give you some. They might not tell you the truth. That happens.
No way. Somebody would.
You know, they might say, "Oh, you're totally ready to go," and then you go in there and the place is full of furniture, or something like just things that just crop up.
Yep.
The installer might have a vehicle issue, so you're all set. You've done your part. The day is going to be smooth as silk, and 20 minutes later, your phone rings and you've got a real issue because you've promised the unit, for example, or whatever. Like for us. So yeah, that part of it in comparison to a restaurant is tricky, because there's a lot of things that, even though you have it all set up, you don't know what's going to happen.
Well,
yeah,
interesting. So your crews the guys that work, that you install and take care of, obviously they've been with you for.
They have.
So
years.
If they run into situations, sometimes do they know how to take care of stuff without always involving you at this point?
Yeah.
So that's just between you and them, or your company, how it works.
Yeah, I think
take care of it. You know what's going on. You don't have to bother me with this. Or...
it depends, right?
Yeah.
You got to set standards, and they know what the standard is, and then they just have to use their best judgment, which is also my job, not to browbeat them or to work over their shoulders too much. Micromanage it. Yeah, you have to give people a little bit of a lot of room. And a little bit of faith that they can handle it on site, whatever the issue is. But sometimes they need to reach out, and I don't want them to hesitate.
Well, certainly.
To reach out. Yeah.
That,
so you're right. It's a balance.
Unapproachable.
It just depends. Yeah.
What's the biggest misconception people, the general public, have about your career / jobs that you're aware of?
That it's free and it can be done in 1 hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you work on the street too, or something?
People will watch HGTV and they'll think, oh, this, they'll think, they think $1,000 job is $100, and they'll think it takes an hour when it takes 2 days.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it happens a lot. Not that it always does. Sometimes they're straightforward, but we have to
educate your customer.
Yeah, and how I say the word educate, true, is I have to. You have to tell them the truth. You have to tell them the truth. If you underpromise, and then they have these unreasonable expectations, and then you have to give them that phone call. Nobody wants to have that conversation.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Any way to change that? Besides you, or is any way that you could change that to the perception?
I
think. Do you think it's just because of the media and the way things work that way?
I think that anybody that's in that part of it, it could be like, to use the welding example, or in any industry. People who are current at it, they realize the time and care it takes for the whatever level of craft.
You always run into a customer that either is new or maybe trying to work you.
Sure.
Or
it happens,
and they're just, you have to be honest and straight with them. It's
not
you're but they get bent because they think you're not being.
Yeah, like you using not to interrupt you.
Yeah, please.
Using the restaurant analogy, they have to meet you in the middle. They can't just create so many expectations and demands that it drags you into a trench, and now you've got yourself in a place where you don't have any handles you can pull.
Right.
They've got to give you the time you need, and they have to pay the fair market rate for the work that's being done to keep those employees and keep those guys working. So there's a balance. Yeah, it's a constant challenge.
Yeah, it's part of the fun, isn't it?
Yes. Exactly.
It's part of the fun. I mean, come on, that's life. Something my father taught and my mother taught me and my brothers is, whatever the situation, if you got to figure it out.
Yes, roll with it.
You learn from mistakes, learn from other situations, and if you fail, step up again and do it a different way.
That's right.
Figure it out.
Yeah, that's true.
Money and income, is it where you thought it would be? Because you did it before, but now you're an owner, operator.
Right.
So how does that work with you?
So
I guess I understand it varies, but
sure. I had a discussion. I'll answer that by saying we had a discussion the other day at
who's
work.
we?
Me and two of my installers.
Okay.
And one of them.
How long have they been with you?
One of them has been with me since the start for about 4 years.
Okay.
The other one has been with me for about a year.
Okay, so we got new and old.
Yeah, newer and old.
I'm just clarifying so we know what we're dealing with.
Exactly. And we talked about one of their relatives is a dentist. And
I want to be a dentist.
And everyone hears dentist and they think income and money, okay? But you go, well, how come a dentist, why does that pay what it pays? When you go, well, you got a lot of years of school. That's true. Mm-hmm. But also, it's a really hard job. It's when you, let's say somebody makes $150,000, $200,000 a year as a dentist, and you think, boy, I'd be feeling great about that. But they have a staff of people that rely on them every day, and they have the building costs, and they have to do it. Everything goes through that portal every day of them doing that work after their education, after all their expenses, after buying all the chairs, after all the tools. And pretty soon, I would assume, just like we hear about sports analogies about guys that get hit every day on the football field, that money doesn't seem like that much money. I mean, it's a good income in America, and they're glad to have it, but things in this country are usually commensurate. There's a reason it pays what it pays.
Right.
And so people have to be careful of that, because the moment you work on the factory floor and you make, let's just take numbers, let's say you make, $35,000 on the factory floor and you're in assembly, and they say you're going to be a manager and you're going to make 60. Well, you go, great, that makes a difference in my life. But now your phone's going to ring, but now you're the boss, but now it goes to you. Now you have to create and file reports. And so
more responsibility.
So pretty soon
stress.
the 60 feels like the 35. Yeah.
It's
I didn't really answer your question, but
no, it's all good. Yeah. It's all good. It's all perspective.
It is.
Yeah, it's all perspective. So, Oni, being a subcontractor, talking about benefits and healthcare and vacation or 401.
Yep.
Do you offer that to your guys, or
they're not employees? They're subcontractors.
Okay. See, yeah. I'm ignorant to that. Because
no, that's fine. And each company that I compete against does it the same way. That's kind of how they do it. Okay. It can be different state by state, or if you were a bigger company, you could have employees. But that legal separation of having them be a sub is what we all do.
Do you have incentives?
No.
You just have...
No.
I'm just being nosy now.
No, that's fine. Basically, the biggest incentive that these guys appreciate is if they're good as a subcontractor, and this goes for me too, is that you keep getting that phone call. You're an insider. It's kind of like waiters in a restaurant. You're the first one to get people sat. You're the first one to get your customers. Problems tend to weed themselves out, and there's problems. The construction industry has to police itself. There's no test.
Ryan, do you have any experience in construction or anything like that with issues and people and not doing what they need to do and going
only extensively?
Situations where he's not what he said he would be.
Oh man,
Ryan says that about me all the time, but
well,
he's known me for years, and I warned him. I said I don't know, I ain't know nothing. So where you're at now, your income, where you thought would be when you started this, or
yeah, okay. I wasn't. I knew that if I stepped up to the plate and worked more hours, that it would be more money than just being an installer or just working for a company.
Being an employee, basically.
But as people would, as people would say, you earn it. Once you step up and you walk through that door, if you make more money, you earn it because of the time involved. So not poor me, it's just good.
No, I don't feel sorry for you. You picked, you're a man.
You do, right?
Kind of, you're a man.
You step up to it.
Or try to. How would somebody in your situation increase their income?
It's a growth thing. You have to have more people. You have to have more territory. But with that comes more headaches. Okay. Yeah. So it's all a trade-off. It's just, again, I know I keep going to this, but it's a good analogy. You have one restaurant and it does great. Then you have a second one and you make some more money, but it's some more headaches. Now you want a third. and on and on and on.
Right.
Yep.
Right. More. Okay, hold on a second. Honey.
Yeah.
Hi, babe.
Hi.
She's tired. We're almost done.
Good for you.
Well, I just don't want. I'm worried. I want.
Well, I can't go down the stairs anyway, Melly.
Well, no, I just don't want to make sure you don't make too much noise so we can get done and I can come beat on you.
I am gonna steal some pizza.
No, how dare you? Okay. Thanks, babe.
Oh, come on, yeah.
Might leave that part in.
Yeah. Oh, how many jobs before you started your current?
Hey, ass hat.
Oh, that was sorry. Wait, we'll come back. Yes, Miss Asshat.
Don't I get a smooch?
That's Mr. Ass, Dr. Professor Ass.
Can I step up?
Yeah.
Since we're doing that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
What, babe? Okay. It's okay. Well, go lay down, relax.
Stole the water.
How dare you? I actually bought those yesterday, day before, for
Like, you know, gotta drink lots of water because
because you're
gotta flush out the
an asshat.
ball of razor blades.
Fuck, lucky you.
Do you timestamp? How do you know how to edit? Do you just go through it afterwards?
Yeah, just go through it. Listen to it.
Yep. That's why he gets paid the big bucks. Oh
Yeah.
wait,
The big $0.
as much as we both make.
Okay.
All right. We'll go back and see if
Thank you.
see if we can finish this. Paul, how many jobs or other jobs? How many? Blah, 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 blah.
We had to pause for all of that?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Pause for effect. Hey, stop messing my stuff up. You bastard. Just wait till you get, and I'm gonna start. I'll mess with. We're actually gonna bring. He's gonna be my Ed McMahon to Johnny Carson.
Yeah,
We're gonna have the bench, and I'm gonna.
that's
and
great.
He's gonna be. So he's gonna
That
be
way
part
I
of
can
the.
be drunk, because...
No, sure.
Oh, wait.
I'm not.
Admit me, I never drank.
Never mind.
right.
How many jobs before you started this career did you have over the years that you could, off the top of your head?
If I had
Well-
6 hands, I could count them all.
So you've had a few.
Yeah, I worked at Napa Auto Parts for 2 days. I remember. And I
Wow,
got fired.
you're that good.
Yeah.
So you've actually been fired from jobs?
Oh, sure.
Everybody, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ryan, how many jobs have you been fired from off the top of your head? I'm just,
Probably 5.
Have you? Yeah.
I was
It's
fired.
character building.
What was funny is I got fired from a job that he was part owner of.
Oh.
I had to bring that up. I thought that was really funny. He had to fire me because the actual other owner didn't have the balls to come to me. And Ryan goes, "Hey, I got a blah blah blah." Okay.
Yeah.
So Ryan, you still owe me dinner, I think, for that, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So anyway, yeah. Everybody, in case anybody younger is listening, they're afraid of losing their job or getting fired. It's part of life.
It is.
Learn,
Yeah.
figure out. Sometimes you're just not suited for the situation. The people just doesn't click, even if you're knowledgeable and do the job well. That was in one of my first jobs. I worked at Skipper's for like a month.
Did you? Yeah. Yeah.
Ken Martin, one of our guests, he was there, and I just did not click. There's a
Sure.
lot of nice people.
Yeah, and I think that you take from each one of them. I mean, you go
hope-
through that experience, and
Hopefully, if you
yeah, I mean, it's one door does close, but one does open, and man, you can't see it at the moment, but it does.
you got to keep
It
going.
does.
But some people just poor me, sit there and pity. But
I know.
unless you're the one on the feet trying to open the door, it's
Yeah.
not going to open.
Yeah,
Well,
that's true.
You know, sometimes it does because somebody will feel sorry for you. Let's see here. Have you changed careers, but not just jobs? Because we all have jobs. I have jobs right now. To me, this would be a great career to be a host, be like the Johnny Carson,
Sure.
Dave Letterman.
Sure.
God, I'm
use
gonna have to
heavier cardstock. so
It's
that-
actually the smaller ones
You know,
work better.
yeah.
I use bigger ones.
Like
Like,
totally
you get by that.
switch the genre of what you do for a living.
Yeah. Have you done?
Yeah, I think especially starting out, I wanted to try different things, or I thought I would like something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
And so you try different things. And I can't think of like when I had a job and totally switched out of that for something else, but they haven't all been the same. I know people that they got a job out of college and they pretty much do the same thing now.
Yeah,
you know,
there's
25 years
some
later.
people.
Yeah.
Not, it doesn't, from my experience of looking around, a lot of people end up changing a lot. Although Rob Mildes, Roger Pratt, they, like, one guy, a friend of mine is a physical therapist, he was a guest,
Okay.
an accountant, and he was pretty much counting all his
People just
adult
know.
life.
I'm jealous
Some
of
people-
that.
Yeah,
I am.
I wanted to be a
Yeah.
rock and roll star, but it just didn't.
I know people that are 50 that's it's the third job they've ever had, and that just.
I'm
wow.
actually, I like the variety.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to somebody that might want to do what you do? What's your title again?
If you're a vendor contractor, or if you're a contractor, or if you're in a trade where you provide value via a service to someone, the advice is that you just try not to rush it. Too many people try to rush into it. They try to cut corners. They're afraid to talk to other people to get advice. It's just try to be good at what you do, because kind of like a conversation that we had yesterday about music, it isn't a competition thing. I think that if there's competency in the market and you are good at what you do, that there's room for you. I do. It always seems to be an expanding bubble. The market wants people that are competent. They want people that do a good job. Yeah.
So we're getting close near the end. What other career, or what did you dream? What dream job did you, or dream career, dream? What did you want to? Did you ever want to be an astronaut? Or so there's kind of a two-part question.
Sure.
Is there another career that you would like to try at this point in your life, other than what you're doing or what you've done in the past? And when you were growing up, did you want to be a cowboy, an astronaut, or something like?
I never had that goal specific. That dream of like, being a fireman, you know what I mean?
Gigolo?
No. I was afraid there was a test. So, no, for me, I think like, I'm content in what I do.
Right.
But if I was going to do a different job, I've thought of things that would be very interesting. I think being like a Steadicam operator in the film industry would be so cool. You see those behind the scenes videos and you watch them wear that rig and they shoot a scene as someone else's, and being the cameraman would be really cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, those behind the scenes type of, I always liked restaurants. I had jobs in restaurants early on. I enjoyed. I always liked working in the back of the house because it was like a team back there, and there was a lot of communication and camaraderie.
What'd you do? What did you do in the back of the house?
Everything. I started washing dishes, and then I was a busser, and then I was a waiter. And you'd help prep cook as they needed,
Sure.
But
were you ever a cook?
I wasn't, no, and I would have liked to have been, because that is the source of all of it back there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You know, my brother Jim, he went to culinary arts.
He did.
He's a culinary guy.
See, that's great.
But he went to work in a restaurant and realized how mundane and how basic and
Really?
the creative. Yeah.
Really?
He had his own cooking sauces years ago.
I think it depends on the place, though. I think if it's done well, you can really inspire that team. And that can be the same with any business. You know what I mean? If you're an asphalt company but you have a good crew, people don't mind going to work in the morning. They look forward to it. And even though the job might not seem that interesting, or if you're doing drywall in a house, there's still an art form to it, and there's still a level of professionalism that has to happen, and that's great.
For me, it was that and teamwork.
Yeah.
Everybody has. I never do anything by myself, as in with the podcast, even though Ryan came to me with this.
Sure.
Him and I at this point do certain things. We're trying to involve others that have input and creative, and it's a team.
Yeah, it is.
And hopefully you bounce off, and as a leader or manager or the head of bands that I've been in, I always have to listen, and just because I have an idea, that doesn't mean I know everything. I don't know. I will come up with an idea concept and then put it out there, and then somebody else will go, well, what if we did this with that?
Right.
And then we did, and then this, and then that, and that's usually how it becomes to the level that it is.
Another job that I've thought about, that I've wondered about, believe it or not, is an ASCAP attorney.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why?
Because of my brother's job and because of being around
You want to
music.
put a shout out to your brother Tom?
Of course, shout him out. Yeah,
Tom
that's it.
Taylor,
Yeah.
and he sang in one of my first bands, me and my brother's first bands, obviously years ago. He still is out there. He's out of Boise, Idaho.
Yeah, still makes his living in the industry and does it, and I'm proud of him.
Does he have a website?
He does. I think it's Tom Taylor Entertainment.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, plug Tom, even though you don't, comes visit us, but
Yeah, and what made me say that is you'll hear you'll be anywhere, you'll hear in a TV show or in a public space, and you'll know that they used a song or part of a movie for the content that you're watching, and you're like, somebody got a check for that, somebody got paid, and that's how it's supposed to work. And I always wonder, well, how does it work? And that'd be cool to be an industry person behind that, to go, well, how it works is they paid this much money and that artist gets a check, and
right.
Yeah, it's great.
Somebody came and wanted to use that, and blah blah blah.
They asked them and got the rights. Yeah,
because I do know somebody in the music industry.
That's cool.
That works for Disney Records, that handles Queen and all that stuff. That Rob,
Perfect.
I talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Before the show started, and I'm always amazed. Talking about that, I'm always amazed with some of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Sure.
And the soundtrack and how it so works with the movie.
That's awesome.
Almost every song, for me, it's like, son, it works. Does it make sense what I'm saying? So whoever's picking those songs out for that particular movie, that particular part of the movie, I don't think I'm good enough to do that.
So I'll show my age here. Can I tell you my story?
Well, we already know you're old.
Right.
Thank God I'm not as old as you.
I was watching an episode
when this becomes unedited.
In the very popular Netflix current series, The Crown, there's a scene where, in that show, Princess Diana, not to spoil it, but she gets up and in front of a
she
big...
She dies, by the way, in a car accident, too.
At the end of it.
Oh, okay.
Yes. She dances on stage in front of the crowd at the king's, the prince's at the time, his birthday, as a surprise. And she dances on stage for the whole crowd, and it's really cool. And the song that's played is Uptown Girl.
Okay. Billy Joel.
And it's in the show, because we all know it, right? And then I was watching the show, and I thought, okay, Billy Joel got money because this is on The Crown, and that song is in there, and they're using it as part of the show. Everybody knows the song, but how did he get paid, and how did that go, and how did they ask? And I'd like to know all that.
Process?
Right. It's cool. It's such a compliment to the artist, but also the compliment is how they get paid and how they get compensated. Yeah. Anyway,
how it works. No, I get it. Interesting. Since I've been in the music business, I never quite thought of, because I kind of know, not exactly,
right?
But I mean, if somebody wants to use anybody's music and they're going to pay, anything I've done musically, if someone wanted to pay me, okay,
great,
let me know.
Sure.
Let me know. We'll get a contract. We'll make it happen. I'll take money for Yeah.
It's neat. It honors that person,
that
because they did create it. They wrote it. It didn't exist, and they created raw material that you're now using.
So real quick, we're gonna put a shout out to your sister.
Yes.
Kathy. She passed away just recently.
Yes.
She was a singer.
Yeah, 2.5 months ago she died.
Yeah, and part of the music she sang. She loved music. I remember her birthday.
Chainsaw.
Weed eater or something.
It's a chainsaw. Yeah.
Nice.
I kept thinking someone's phone was vibrating.
Yeah, so did I. Where was I going? Her 50th. She came out and sang with the band. Do you remember that?
I do.
At the club at
on Sullivan.
Yeah, a couple. Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah. So memories that we have.
It's very nice. She's always with us.
Yes, definitely. Well, even if enjoy what you have while you have it.
That's a fact.
Because you never know how it's going to change and when it's going to change.
Yeah. Be glad for each day and even the ups and downs of it.
Yeah, and learn from the downs.
Yeah.
And learn lessons, even if you screw up and hit a wall, turn around, figure it out, learn a lesson from that situation, and hopefully you can apply it to other parts of your life. Anything else, Mr. Taylor?
No, I'm glad to be here. This is a
About
great
time. I was hoping
series.
I didn't know I'd get you on as soon as we did. I told you months ago when I started this that I wanted you on, but I wasn't sure how I was going to get that. Now he came into town and look, he's on the show.
You see this on other shows, and you don't realize this has 4,000 seats, and the size of this auditorium.
We keep people down
really
in the
cool.
background. Yeah.
No, it's neat. I couldn't believe it's very technically involved, and this is a huge place. Yeah, it's great.
He's a funny guy. He comes off so serious and late and got his stuff. And then he pulls this stuff.
It's great. Staff, you got staffs of people.
Well, yeah, we got the green room back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once we're done, we can go have a couple drinks.
This
and
is
stuff.
great.
Maybe we can cater in dinner or something like that.
I'm sold. This is dynamite.
Thank you, Paul, very much, sir.
Yes,
Appreciate
thank
you
you.
being on the show.
Thank you.
Once again, you are a
contractor specifically. Yep.
vendor contractor.
Vendor contractor. We're a but other companies. Just to give you guys a little quick background about that. Apple Computers has vendors that just serve them. Different companies out there, trucking companies, have vendors just for them. They don't just go to the same place that people do for their house or for their personal truck, or you know what I mean?
Right.
So we're kind of a specialty. There's all kinds of companies that are specialty vendors to specific segments or to specific companies, and that's what we do.
Do you want to put a shout out to the name of the company? Your company.
Property Service Group. That's us.
Property, and the website is Property Service.
There is no website.
Wow.
We have no web traffic. It isn't handled that way.
Okay. Well,
Yeah. It's just like a guy who goes and builds a house. He doesn't really have a website because it's all practical work. Yeah.
He does it, and it's been done. You've laid the groundwork.
Yeah.
And just moving forward and keeping things going.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
But it's great to be here. Thank you.
No, thank you. I actually learned more. I knew what you did, but I've learned more details, and I know basics. So basically, you go in and fix stuff so they can rent it back out.
Yeah,
but
they give us nothing and they get something.
Yeah.
And hopefully they pay their bill.
How often does that have you rented?
Not very often. People are good. They do appreciate the value.
Yeah,
it does happen. But
is it usually that they're trying to not pay you, or I hate to bring this, but
bring it up.
Or is it that somehow it slipped through and they're going, oh crap, or has there been an intentional, or you had
both?
to go?
You're going to get both. You're going to have to, like any small business, you're going to get people that try to work you.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have customers that rush to pay, that are very appreciative, and you're going to have companies that are so big, and this happens to us too, where literally you'll get a hold of them. It's not because you know they're a good company, but you get a hold of them and say, hey, I've got one it's been a while, it's July, and they'll go, yeah, we totally spaced it, sorry. Or maybe we did. We're all human.
Right.
Maybe we thought we billed it, we didn't hit send on an email.
Yeah, sometimes that, yes.
Yep, it can happen. As long as you watch your books and close out each month, you should catch it. Yeah.
You got to watch your books and close.
I know.
You got to pay attention to this.
Oh man, right?
What the? Huh?
Yeah.
Is that how that?
It's
I
just
guess
terrible.
that's why you're a professional. And I have no idea what. Close out your. Watch your bank account.
Right. Pay your taxes. What?
Okay. Now you're just going too far. You push. Paul Taylor, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Thanks for listening to Career Paths by Infonet. Ryan, anything else you'd like to add?
No.
And in case we get to the unedited and you don't see Ryan, he's off. We're in process of
off.
He's off his rocker all the time.
And it's December, so everybody have a great Christmas.
Yeah, we can say Merry Christmas.
We can.
I say Merry Christmas. Happy holidays for everybody else.
Yep.
But please subscribe. Leave a comment. If you like us, great. If you hate me, great. Tell me why I suck. I'm okay with that. Ryan tells me every time. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah.
And yet you asked me.
I'm here for you.
I know. Hey, it's your life. Make it happen. Till next time, Career Paths. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, I forgot to hit record. Oh,